Well, my name is Robert Trimbath. I'm a small business owner in Cypress, Texas, a suburb of Houston. And I'm making this video mainly because I've really kind of grown fed up with what I'm seeing in the media. And I guess I have a hard time quantifying the results that I see in the media with the people I talk to and the people I've seen in my own network of individuals and people that I've seen through, just through everyday life. And I have a problem resolving the two together. So I generally don't try to or endorse people trying to, I really don't pay attention to propaganda or coercion or believe in doing that to get each other to vote one way or the other. I believe that we should consider facts. I believe that we should use our head and look at facts for ourselves and not let other people think for us. I think we should try to evaluate and make our own decisions based on our values and what we believe is right, and not take somebody else's propaganda as fact. And that is probably my biggest complaint with the election process this year is I've seen more propaganda than my entire lifetime. I'm 49. I'm going to be 50 this next year. And I look at this and I think, I don't understand it at all. Not at all. I've been a registered voter my entire life. I voted. Never got a single call. I've lived in California for a number of years. I've been in Texas for 27 years now. And I've never seen or heard from a poll. I've never had anybody call me and ask me my political opinion. I've never been polled on an exit poll. So I don't know who they're calling to get these results for these polls, but as I started looking at the polling companies, it becomes very clear to me that their mission is strictly propaganda. They just want to promote a particular cause, and they state it in their mission statements. The very polls that are out there to tell us facts. We're not getting much fact in these polls, so I wouldn't pay much attention to them. Don't let them discourage you from voting. Don't let them discourage you from exercising your opinion and your right to vote. Get out and vote. I just want to discuss a few things that I got to get off my chest, because this is probably the craziest election cycle I've ever seen in my whole life. And I don't think anybody's perfect. I don't think Trump's perfect. I don't think Hillary's perfect. I don't think any human person is perfect. I'm going to preface this with this remark. We're here. Our country was founded on religious freedom. It was founded in God we trust, is in our money. It's in our system. It's in our Constitution. And over the last 20 years, I've seen nothing but people try and take God out of the country. And it does nothing but sicken me. I think that people need to start remembering the reason this country was created. I think people need to be remembering why it was created, and that their vote matters, and not to listen to the propaganda machine that's out there. If you have questions about a candidate, then you need to go look for yourself and figure that out. Period. Don't take anybody's word for anything. What do you do when you build a house? If you're building a brand new house, are you just going to let any Tom, Dick, or Harry come up to you and say, yeah, I can build a great house? No, you're going to go look at the houses they built before. You're going to talk to the people that live in them. You're going to find out if they had problems with their house. You're going to use judgment. You're going to use common sense, because you don't want to trust your family to live in a house that's built out of straw, that's going to fall over the first time you have a windstorm, that's going to have plumbing problems and electrical problems. You want to know that the builder that built your house knew what he was doing and built a house that you can raise your family in and have a foundation for your family to live on. Not one that's going to sink in the sand and come apart and crack and fracture and leak and be a problem for years. Because that's what the propaganda is helping us create, is that scenario. So I'm going to tell you a few things that I think, and I hope you can use this. This is me not exercising my opinion. It's me encouraging you to use your own common sense about these simple facts and vote your conscience. Look in the mirror and vote your conscience. Can I honestly vote for this candidate based on what I know? Number one, motivations. Okay, and I'm going to go Democratic first, Republican last, and on each one of these facts. And you decide for yourself. Motivations. Okay, why is Hillary in office? Why is she running to become president? What are her motivations? Look to her past. What are her motivations? What has she done to get here? Okay, now I want you to turn around and look at Donald's. And I'm going to list this because everybody seems to use some of these things as ammunition against them. And I'm going to tell, speaking as a small business owner who's on his fourth one now and has had and lost businesses, some successful, some not. And I'm going to tell you right now that any business owner will tell you, you learn more from your failures than you do from your successes. It is hard. And it is a challenge, and you are going to fail. You are going to get back up. What defines your character is not what you do. It's not what you do when you succeed. It's what you do when you fail. Do you get back up? Do you try again? Do you learn from your mistakes? Do you learn from those things and do them better? I want you to take that application. I mean, that's what we're here for. That's what God put us here for, is to make mistakes, learn from them, become better people, and to ascend to something better than we are. No matter what God you worship, that's the primary purpose, is to be better people. No matter how you put it, it's to become better than we are. And we do that through mistakes, forgiveness. Now, I want you to think about that for a second. I want you to look at Hillary and her motivations and Donald and his, and tell me who has pure motivations. She is a career politician who has made money off the people her whole entire life. She has a foundation that 94% of the profit of that foundation goes back to her and her employees, not to charitable causes. It's a fact. Look it up. I think it's like 5.8% or something. 5.6 goes to charity. 5.6. That means out of every dollar you contribute, a nickel and a penny go to help people. Is that really the kind of person, is that really the kind of motivation or the kind of person you want in the White House? Then you have a person like Donald. Did he start a company for money from his dad? Yeah, let's clarify two things. One, there's a loan and there's a gift. A gift is a silver spoon thing where you were entitled. A rich dad gave a rich kid money and said, here, go build something. Here's some money. He took a loan. A loan, which implies he pays it back, which is a responsible thing. I teach my kids about loan. I loan my kids money, and I teach them the value of repaying it, because that's part of the value of money. How is that bad? He built a business out of it. He had a business that failed. He took some losses 20 years ago, and he came back and built something better. And you're faulting him for that? That's what you do. You learn from your mistakes and you build something better. What are we learning from our mistakes as a government? We're going in debt by trillions and trillions of dollars, and we keep putting people in office that want to spend more money. How does that, how are we learning as voters? How are we doing anything better? Second, what do they do now? What is their job? How do they help us? Do they do anything that helps us? How do they make a living? Okay, let's look at Hillary. She has the Clinton Foundation. Again, 94% plus goes into their pockets and the people they choose, their employees, whoever. 94%. 5%, 5.8, whatever that number is. It's been on Fox. It's been everywhere. It's been. You can look it up on the internet. It's recorded. It's a fact. Less than 6% of their proceeds go to help people. How is that? How is that helpful? She's been she's been investigated by the FBI for every business she's had has been investigated to some degree or another. Got to think about that. Okay. Second, Donald, he creates jobs. He builds buildings. He builds things. And I want you to think about that. Builds things, okay, that create jobs. There's an interesting email that circulated out through LinkedIn the other day, and I thought it was very interesting because it defines what I'm talking about right now. It was a picture of a Corvette, and one guy looks at the Corvette and he says, wow, think about it, how much that costs and how many people could have been fed for what that guy paid for that Corvette. And you know what the other guy said? The other guy said, well, think about how many people were fed by the company that had to make the electronics for that, the company that made the tires, the company that made the steel, the company that molded the steel, the company that put it all together, the jobs and the money that fed those families. Think about that. Well, you know what? I'm sorry. And then the last phrase was, one is a difference of a mentality of somebody who wants to create things and feed people and create greatness inside a company, an organization, a group of people. It's building things and building wealth for many people, where the other is a welfare mentality. I'm sorry. It's a difference between building something and giving away something. And I'm sorry, but our country was built off building things, not giving it away. And look at history for yourself. You'll find that out. Third, who do they align themselves with? Who are the people that they align themselves with in order to campaign and be better? Look at the DNC. The DNC undermined the anti-establishment guy. And I'm telling you, I'm not a Bernie supporter, but I want you Bernie supporters out there to think about this realistically. You are being coerced to vote for the very person that masterminded and undermined your candidate from the very beginning. And it's fact. People have been fired over it. It's absolute fact. And it's taken hackers to expose this, and the only time they'll admit up to it is when they've been caught. How can you vote for the very person undermined and sabotaged your candidate because he was anti-establishment? And Bernie, I'm sorry, how do you look in the mirror and vote for the very person that undermined you? How do you vote for the very person in the organization that pulled the rug right from under you? How can you look yourself in the mirror and say, that's my vote, that's who I want to be president? Sorry. If you can do that, then you've got some serious moral compass issues. And that leads me into my next question. Do they have a moral compass? Do they possess one? Benghazi, the emails, everything that's going on, the corruption between the DNC, the Justice Department. Do you think this woman that Hillary Clinton possesses a moral compass of any kind? Look at her responses to the families of Benghazi. Does it matter? Does it matter now? It always matters. People's lives were lost. They gave their life to protect something and to make something better, and it will always matter. And I'm sorry, to dismiss that is sickening. To let our VA health department be the way that it is. The VA system is a disgrace. To allow it to continue in the form that it is and say that it's okay, not okay. Not okay. Since when did you, as congressmen, and politicians, warrant better health care than the people that live and fight and die for us? Since when do you warrant better health care than they do? I'm sorry, you don't. You don't warrant those things. Those people earned it. You're taking it for granted, and you're living off of it. And you know what? It needs to stop. It needs to change. And the only way it's going to change is by getting someone in there that can shake it up. Does Donald have a moral compass? I think so. I want you to think about one thing. Let's just take the things that are wrong, like the email server. How long did it take for her to come and say, I made a mistake, and own up to it? It took a long time. Donald, on the other hand, made some comments in the locker room, off mic, thought it was off mic, don't agree with them, don't endorse them, 20 years ago to a person, and it was recorded without his knowledge. Okay? That's not even admissible in a court of law in most states. But I want you to think about this for a minute. I'm not endorsing in any way. He came out the very night, it must have been midnight. I was up, I watched it. He came out the very night, apologized for it, owned the mistake, did not dismiss it and say it was okay. He said it was deplorable. He apologized for it, said he has learned to be better, and will do better in the future and will not do that again. How do you fault that? That's an apology. That's a plea for forgiveness. How can any Christian look themselves in the face and say that that's not a plea for forgiveness? I went out, I said I'm wrong, I owned it right off the bat. I didn't try and explain it, excuse it. I owned it, and I came back and apologized for it, and I asked people to forgive me and told them I will do better. That's all you can do as a Christian, as anybody. That's all you can do, is apologize for your mistakes and try and do better in the future. That is character. You want to look at character, look at hers, look at his, look at the facts, look at the track record, and tell me who has more character. And my last thing I'm going to talk about is history. The history speaks for all the things I just discussed. Every one of them. Don't rely on the propaganda. Don't rely on polls. Don't rely on the news. Look it up for yourselves. Okay? And if you can't, find a way to get there and do it. Or find a way, pray about it, use your moral compass. Look yourself in the mirror and say, can I vote for somebody that excuses our soldiers' lives, that allows a VA system to exist the way it is, to take from people 94% of what they give and take it for their own personal wealth instead of giving it to the people they say they're giving it to. 5%. That's a nickel for every dollar you gave went to help somebody. 95 cents of that dollar went into that person's pocket. There's got to be some kind of a moral compass here. She thinks that's okay. She justifies it. He turns around and apologizes, takes ownership, vows to do better. I'm sorry, but that's what being human is about. We make mistakes, we learn from them, we do better. And if you think you're any better than that as a person, I think that you need to really seriously look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself those questions, because there isn't anybody out there that hasn't made mistakes, apologized for them, and wanted to do better. So if you're not going to hold him to the same standard you hold yourself, then you've got a problem. I'm not saying you can't forgive Hillary, but the problem is Hillary doesn't think she's done anything wrong. She thinks she's above the law. She thinks she's protected and okay. Donald takes ownership, wants to do better, says, yep, I did it. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have done it. I'll do better. What else do you want from a person? And I'm sorry, but if you don't think about these things and look yourself in the mirror and honestly ask yourself these questions when you go to vote, then don't vote, because I can tell you that you'll only be hurting the situation. I encourage everybody to vote, but do it with a moral compass. Do it knowing that you want somebody in there that can actually make things better and not make things worse. And if you are unsure that your candidate can do that, then you need to find out for yourself. I want to leave you with 3 questions to ask yourself. Why does WikiLeaks have to bring us the truth about the DNC and the Democratic Party and what's going on? And I don't think the whole Democratic Party's corrupt. But why do we have to learn about the things that happened to Bernie? Why do we have to learn about Hillary's going-ons? The stuff about the Clinton Foundation? Why do we have to learn about all that from them, from hackers? And why is the only time they ever own up to it when they get caught? Second, what is Hillary and her family? Why have every business they've ever been under investigation by the FBI? Don't believe me? Look it up. Look up their businesses in Missouri and Arkansas, the whole Whitewater thing. Did they go to jail for it? No. But it's only because they got a great organization of people out there to cover up what they do. And I mean, if you haven't figured that out right now by the email thing going on, if you haven't figured that out by what's been revealed by by WikiLeaks and the email, and it's sad that a hacker organization has to come out with the truths of a politician who's running for president. Do you really want somebody who's been under criminal investigation most of their adult life running for president as your presidential candidate, as the person in the Oval Office? Shouldn't even be allowed in my book, but that's got something to say for it. And lastly, why is the establishment so afraid of having an anti-establishment person? It's because it's going to change their way of making money. It's going to take away the system that has been feeding into them for years. And you know what? God bless. I hope it happens. I hope it happens, because the system needs to be changed from the inside out, and it is broken. If our forefathers could see what is happening now, and I'm sure they do, they've got to be turning over in their graves. They've got to be shaking their heads, going, what is with these people? Serving the government, serving in office was a privilege. It was like being in the military. You went in, you served for 4 years, you got out, you went back to your job. You didn't turn it into a career. You didn't make money from third-party companies and interests paying your way to influence things. It was a privilege and a service to serve your country, and you went back to what you did. Period. That's it. It wasn't a way to become rich. It wasn't a way to have retirement for the rest of your life. And just so most of you know, if you don't know, our congressmen, our elected officials, they don't have the same health care our vets do. They have a whole different health care system that is way better. Our vets are treated like crap compared to them, and they have not died for this country. They haven't lost limbs. They haven't sacrificed their families, their family time, watching their kids grow up. They have just ran for office. They've put themselves at no risk. But the people that have the crappiest healthcare system on the planet. That's wrong. Number two, you can go in office and run for office, and guess what? You get full retirement benefits after you've served in office. That's right. Name a single company that gives you a lifetime retirement benefit for serving in office for less than 10 years. I'm not sure of the exact number, but I am sure of this, that their retirement benefits are lifelong for serving. That didn't exist. That was put there by a Congress. And the reason why it will never come out is because Congress is the one who votes on their own paychecks and benefits. You think they're going to vote against that? It's broken, people. The only way you're going to fix it is by getting someone inside who has no interest, who already has their own money, who can't be corrupted from the inside out. It's the only way it's going to be fixed. And it's going to take years to do it. It's not going to happen in one term. It's going to take a lot of time to fix what's been broken. And I hope you show up and you vote your conscience and you look yourself in the mirror and ask, can I live with myself for voting for this person? Does he have the right interests in mind? Will he protect my family? He, she, whoever, protect my family, help my family, make my family better. Because if you can't answer those questions, then you need to take some more time and seriously consider that. And make sure that after you vote, you can look yourself in the mirror and say, I voted for the person I think was best for that job.